Do you know what time it is? It is that time of the week for the Woman Evolve podcast, and I am your host, Sarah Jakes Roberts. Listen, we welcome you. You're listening for the first time. We miss you. How do we miss you and we've never seen you? Interesting question. It's just how we feel. Let me tell you something. I'm not by myself, though. I am here with the delegation. The delegation are the podcast co-host, okay? We don't do Woman Evolve solo. We do it with the co-host, and the co-hosts are in the building. Carla Gover's here from Alabama. Sherelle says, no song. Says, I have a song for you. Katanya says, Gainesville, Florida. Sister V is here from Humble, Texas. Are you humble or humble in Texas? Question. Caitlin White says, what's popping from Greensboro, North Carolina? Y'all want me to sing. First of all, if anyone ever questioned whether or not I had musical ability, literally people are asking me about my song. And you know, I was thinking a lot. Camry says, you look so comfy. I almost want to sit next to you and grab a cup of coffee. Come on, child. Listen, Woman Dissolve. Wow. What happened to it? What happened to Woman Dissolve? I'll tell you what happened to Woman Dissolve. My auntie came to town and my auntie dissolved Woman Dissolve. I want to be honest with you because this is a place of transparency. It is a place of honesty. If you're listening for the first time, you don't know what Woman Dissolve is and you thought you were listening to the Woman Evolve podcast, keep up, grab a notebook. Here's what I want you all to know, okay? What I want you to understand is that we do evolve, okay? But we also dissolve our waistlines. And all this week, I've been looking at carbs and carbs been looking at me. And I just finally looked at carbs last night. And you know what I said? I said, if I can't have you, I'll just be hungry for the rest of my life. Do y'all remember that song by Isis? First of all, do y'all remember if I can't have you, I'll just be single for the rest of my life. Y'all need to stop telling these people that. Okay? Y'all need to stop telling these jokers that if you can't have them, you're just going to be single for the rest of your life. Because some of them are still walking away and letting you be single. Anywho, I was looking at carbs all week. Like, what is my life? I have not been eating carbs for several days. But I have just, my aunt came and my aunt was like, you need carbs. And I was like, all right, aunt, I'm going to listen to you. And then I just been looking at carbs and I'm just like, what is life without you? I understood that song in a fresh new way. Literally, the first song that came to my mind when thinking about carbs was, if I can't have you, I'll just be single for the rest of my life. But I'm not single. I'm married, so I had to change the words. I'm going to be hungry for the rest of my life without carbs. And now I'm just thinking about whether or not that's what I can sign up for. So far, so good. Yesterday was phenomenal. I did not eat any carbs. I had my protein shake, right? I ate my vegetables. I ate my protein. Everything was fine. Then my kids, the kids I live with who have jobs and own things and have debit cards, ordered these little churros. I don't eat churros. That's fine. I just didn't know we was eating sugar because I didn't have no sugar. My son made a red velvet cake, but it didn't come out the pan properly, and so it crumbled up. He was going to throw it away. I said, don't throw that cake away. It's crumbled up, but it's still, God can still use it even though it's crumbled. I was on my way upstairs. They had ordered churros. Life comes at you fast. Before I knew it, I was eating up crumbled cake. Okay? Crumbled cake. And I felt good about it, to be honest. So, today's a new day. Had my shake, had my chia seed pudding, had my veggie juice, and I feel like I'm going to end strong. Tonight's taco night. I'm going to make keto tacos so I don't have to eat actual carbs. And I'm going to try and live without carbs for a few days, at least. A few days. Come on, Veronica said DeSoto, Texas in the building. What's up, DeSoto? Aisha Glover says, I just started listening to your podcast about a month ago, and now I'm so excited to finally catch your Facebook Live. I'm a part of the delegation. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We welcome you on today. How y'all doing? Are y'all dissolving, evolving, or minding your business? The Boss Said Life says, that's why I'm going vegan. I'll give up meat before carbs. You spoke a word. You spoke a whole word. You know what I was thinking about today? I was thinking about prophesying over my life. And, you know, there are some people who can't be a part of Woman Dissolve because they have a hard time gaining weight. And I felt like maybe we should switch the words that are coming out of our mouths. Maybe I should start talking about having a hard time gaining weight, and they should start talking about trying to dissolve. Wait a minute. Here, go with me. I'm going to start saying things to myself like, I have a hard time gaining weight. I'm going to start prophesying where I'm headed over my life. I'm going to start saying things like, I eat everything I want and never gain a pound. I just want to try it on for size. I just want to see if it works. Okay. Kim Young says, okay, what are you on, child? You on 10 plus 10. Am I? I'm just getting started. I don't even know if we can say that. Mercy Lynn says you need some carbs daily, at least 40 a day. Beautiful SJR. Yeah, I mean, but you know, the type of carbs I need are empty carbs. They don't even count as, I mean, there are carbs in vegetables. There are carbs in fruit. There are carbs in chia seed pudding. You know what I mean? There's carbs, but the types of carbs that I want to eat, I don't need those. I know that. Okay. Caitlin says, come on, positive affirmations. I want to start speaking over my life. Bianca Johnson says, I am not about to lie to myself. Is it lying, or is it speaking, or is it faith? Ariel Nicole says, I've been dissolving for 2 weeks. Victoria wants to know, sister, you still at 188? I am. I'm still hanging on to 188. I am. That's what I told myself when I started struggling. I said, well, at least we're not 191 right now. You haven't gone all the way back. But what I'm saying is there was a nice little rhythm going down, and I just need to keep that rhythm. And I'm getting back. I've been working out. I haven't fallen off the workout train, and I have been eating well, except for when I had crumbled cake. That's it. How about that? How about that? Natalie says, child, I'm 150 and I'm still eating. Child, 150. Do you know what I could do with 150? Do you know how God could use me in a new way at 150? At 150, that's sandwich, Sarah. That's when people start throwing sandwiches at me, okay? LaRonda says, down 6 pounds in a week from keto. Come on, keto. I did keto for 2 weeks, and then things got strange, but I lost 10 pounds the first week, and I only lost like 1 pound. But they said, like, if you keep going, you get there, but that's fine. That's fine. I decided not to do keto because I cannot be on a diet. For me, this is my business. This not your business. This my business. My business is I can't be on a diet where I eat a piece of fruit and that's cheating. This my business. Once again, not your business. You live your life how you want to. But what I'm saying is, fruit can't be a cheat for me. I want to be on a diet where cheating is actually cheating, not that. Okay. How about that? Renee says, not strange. Nisha says, minding my business. Come on. Classic says, evolving while minding my business. Evolving is minding your business. Now he said, I can't do keto because I like to eat-o. We love the delegation. We love to see it. Okay, so listen. Angie says she's lost 27 pounds since June. First of all, you better live, and you better. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. Okay, but we'll see where I land. I'm not going to give up. This is what I promise you. I'm not giving up. I haven't thrown in the towel. I had a few rough days. I'm giving myself permission to have those few rough days, and I'm easing back into my rhythm. Okay. When I lock down, I lock all the way down. And right now I'm doing great. I'm still working out. I'm still eating mostly healthy. I had that fall with that red velvet cake, and today's a new day. And I can't wait to tell you about how I'm back at it next week. Back at it strong, okay? Renee Miller says, I'm trying to lose weight, but it's not work. I'm trying to lose weight bad, but it's not working. Is it not working? What you doing? How long you been working it? That's all I'm trying to figure out. All right. Okay, so listen. We have people to rescue. And to be honest, I don't want to hear it today. To be honest, I want you all to be your best versions of yourselves. I'm not going to do it with y'all. We're going to rescue people, and we're going to do it with a hearty amen. And we're going to thank God. okay, that we have the ability to do it, okay? Okay, so Rescue Eve, somebody's listening for the first time. You saw me posted on my Instagram. You trying to figure out what's happening. What do you mean by rescuing people? Rescuing people is when we look at what's happening in the news, we see what's happening in the world, and perhaps people are being dragged. Okay, they're saying you wrong, you know better, you should have done better, right? Well, we call it Rescue Eve because Eve knew better but didn't do better. But we have grace and compassion, okay, because we know what it's like to have been there. How about that? I'm going to start with a wedding story. Like, I read this headline and I just couldn't believe it to be true. Can I tell y'all that? I'm going to read you the headline the way it came to me, because sometimes you can't give people the word. You can't summarize the word. You got to give people the word the way you received it. Okay. Health officials shut down 10,000 person wedding in Brooklyn. What? Who? Okay. Remember when y'all was talking about them croissant fruit tray wedding sandwiches and stuff last week that y'all didn't want to rescue them? This is why those little sandwiches and stuff should have been rescued. How did y'all have a wedding with 10,000 people? How did y'all do that? 10,000. First of all, not even in a pandemic. Okay. Not even in a pandemic. Why, who did you invite to this wedding? Okay, but rescue. Okay, health officials in New York were forced to shut down a wedding in Brooklyn that was scheduled to have nearly 10,000 guests. We received a suggestion that was happening. We did an investigation and found that it was very likely. Okay, look, you can get married. You just can't have 10,000 people at your wedding. Can I ask y'all a question? Why do y'all who even wants 10,000 people at their wedding? 10,000 people. Okay, but wait, I'm going to have to rescue folks. Okay, so here's the rescue. Perhaps if there were 10,000 people who wanted to go to the wedding in a pandemic, nah, I can't do it. Nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't even do it. 10,000 people. Brianna Hammond says they invited everybody. They walked past everybody. And if somebody wants to show up to this 10,000 person wedding, maybe that needs to be their business. But the reason why it's not their business is because these little super spreader events, and then you don't know if you have it. It's about the people who have to walk past them after the wedding. Okay. Star Brown says, who knows 10,000 people wedding? Who? 10,000 wedding worthy people? Wedding worthy? I don't think so. Renee says those are the first set of people who got their stimulus checks. I don't even know why I put this in here, because I wasn't willing to rescue them, and obviously you guys aren't going to either. Miss Love Kelly says no rescue. It was a Jewish community and they haven't been following the COVID rules since day one. Numbers are going up in their community. No rescue. First of all, thank you for coming through with the facts. And secondly, no. Okay, so, all right, I'm going to just move on to the ones that actually have a chance of being rescued. I don't even know why I put that. I was just shocked to read that somebody knew 10,000 folks willing to come to a wedding. Who? If y'all get married outside of the pandemic and I find out it's going to be 10,000 people there, I don't think I'm going to make it. I have social anxiety and stuff, and so I can't even understand the wedding small talk that we gonna have with 10,000 folks. Okay, moving on. Can I move on to this one? This one I'm gonna try. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna read this to you. Father, hold on is currently trending in Zambia after a woman disrupted a Catholic church wedding with her children to claim the groom is her husband, who slept on the same bed with her the previous night. Confusing is that the woman says in the now viral video that there is no issue between her and her husband and they didn't quarrel, which if your husband is getting married, we definitely have an issue. Uh, uh, because your husband shouldn't be getting married to nobody else. Your husband shouldn't be having a wedding day and you have one. Okay. She said he left her for his secret wedding from their home that morning and she had no idea he was remarrying. I don't. The woman screams out, "Father, hold on." It could be argued that there was a better way to handle it. That perhaps not in the middle of the wedding. But then again, where you mess up is where you get embarrassed. Was y'all's parents ever like that? Wherever you give it to me, you better, if you want to give it to me right here at this grocery store, see, 2020 got y'all forgetting when your parents used to tell you wherever you show up is wherever you show out is where I'm going to show up. Do you understand? Was there a better way to handle this? Despite efforts to hold her back, she pushes her way to the front of the altar and starts explaining to the priest that she and her husband were together in their bed only hours earlier, and she's shocked to now see him marrying another woman. She says he told her he was going out of town for work when he left for home that morning. Y'all. The woman was only tipped off by vigilant neighbors that her husband was about to wed another woman after she rushed to the said Catholic church together with her kids. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm going to rescue her. I'm going to rescue her because the fact that he's still got air in his lungs is a sign of maturity and wisdom. Lynette said, I think the fact that there were no hands thrown means that there was already some saving happening. Look, that's the grace of God is hovering over your life. Let me tell you something. Paris says, rescue her, please. Let me tell you something. Money on the books. This podcast is live from the Los Angeles Correctional Facility. Let me tell you something. Somebody's not going to make it. Let me tell you where you're headed. I would have came in singing, "You're going up a yonder." Going up a yonder. Y'all love it when I sing. If anybody asks you, or where I'm going. Kiera says, no rescue, just move on, child. Sink that ship. He would be dressed perfectly for his funeral. You have on the right attire. Because let me tell you something. And the kids it had been terrible for the children. Years of therapy. But let me tell you something. I'm not wired too tight. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have made it through that. You're going up a yonder. Why do y'all let me sing on this podcast? You're going up a yonder. I would tell my father, hold on. She has respect. This is why we need to rescue her. She has respect for authority. Even in that moment, she's talking to father. She said, Father, hold on. Low key, sis is goals. She said, Father, hold on. I wouldn't have even been thinking about the priest. Whose name would you have called out the moment you bust into the chapel? Father, hold on. That's powerful. That's powerful that she said, Father, hold on. Because, I don't know about it. The boss that left the LMBO going up again. Going up yonder. Carrie says the grace she had for that man. She deserves to be rescued. She handled this impeccably. It was a terrible situation. And we could honestly, I'm moving her to Hail Mary. I'm moving her over. Okay, things are out of whack here. I'm moving her to Hail Mary because she went in there. She said, Father, hold on. She was explaining things to the priest. Okay. She wasn't even doing, people tried to hold her back. She pressed to, she's kind of like the woman with the issue of blood. Only the issue is him. And she pressed her way in. She got to the man who's the closest to the Lord in the room. And let me explain to you how I got here. It's powerful. Hail Mary. I've messed this whole up. I messed this whole thing up. Okay. Raquel says I would have blacked out and pleaded temporary insanity during the court hearing. Because let me tell you, it was going to be a court hearing. It was going to be a court hearing. Okay. Esper says we going to be Cash App and Eve bail funds. Yes. Okay. Because, wow. If you haven't seen the video, it's everywhere. It's unbelievable. And she's a star. She's truly, honestly, a star, a queen, if you will. A queen. Okay. Noah says that's so embarrassing. I can't even imagine it. You know what I think though? Noah, I hear what you're saying. I think we need to stop being embarrassed by people who play us. I have a word. Because being embarrassed, I understand what you're saying because it is embarrassing on one level. But also, like, she was just trying to live her life and showing up the best way she could. And somebody played her. And the truth is that there are snakes out in the world. And for us to make it about us being embarrassed when we gave our best and showed up as the best version of ourselves and tried to be vulnerable, to make it about being embarrassed, because I think being embarrassed almost means like I need to apologize for how I showed up in this world, or apologize for the way that this happened to me, or feel badly because I gave my all and somebody played me. Like, yes, I got embarrassed, not gonna lie, but I also showed up to this as the best version of myself. And it's on him. Who needs to be embarrassed is him. He needs to be embarrassed for out here being a clown. Look at you with your red nose. Look at you with your black suit and your red nose. You got on a black suit with a whole red nose on your face. How about that? I don't know. And that says God was covering him because he and she would be catching holy matrimony hands. No. We can't. But honestly, a red nose. You're a clown. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Kiara Hall says, Lord, make me like that sister because her grace, mercy, and self-control is remarkable. We have a goal, okay? How about that? How about that? Oh, Moomba, and it sounds like she got the facts. Moomba says they're actually divorced. She left him when he lost his job. Now he's doing a lot better, and she showed up to the wedding. Well, it sounds like somebody sleeping in. 2021 podcast goals. To have a playlist of songs that have been featured on the podcast. And by featured, I do mean me singing them. I think there's something to that. Y'all don't remember that song? Simply says, my family too violent. We would be best dressed in jail. That's fine. Ashley says, Sarah, go to bed. Okay. Fine. I'll go to bed. Jay Lumpkin said, not Drew Hill, bruh. Let me tell you something. I need to have a playlist for the songs that I be embedding into your spirit. Okay, so moving on. Hail Mary. So far, I've abandoned rescuing the wedding. I moved this woman into Hail Mary. I've got 2 more shots at people who I think we should rescue. Let's give it a jam. Let's see what happens. I don't know if you guys watch Red Table Talk, but it's a whole thing, okay? And the artist opened up, Willow Smith opened up recently about mom shaming, the new epidemic on Red Table Talk. And she explains how she felt shunned by the Black community. Willow and Jaden Smith have been often the subject of conversation because they, and I think that I want to use the words that she used, but basically she felt like there were people within the Black community who maybe felt like they were a little too eclectic, too different, too strange. She said with the African American community, I kind of felt like me and Jaden were shunned a little bit. We're not going to take pride in them because they're too different. They're too weird is kind of how she felt, which I thought was a really interesting conversation, especially as it relates to Blackness, because sometimes I feel like there is one way to show up as Black, or one more common way of showing up in Blackness. And it feels like anything that is different or eclectic or strange or weird to our community can often be shunned. And I just wanted to know, as we continue to see our communities exposed and intermingling with different cultures and races and perhaps becoming more open in their worldviews, are we willing to continue to make space within our community for people who may be different than us, or maybe different than the way that we are used to this perception of what it means to be Black? So yeah, I would like to submit us rescuing Willow and Jaden. How about that? Amir says the world is only used to one type of Black person. Brianna says, she's still talking about the fight. Victoria says, I think the word is different. I mean, the people not lying. The word is different. So yeah, I mean, how do we feel about that? How do we feel about people being different, but then being shunned because of their differences? Like, what could we do as a community to make more space for people who are different than us so that they don't end up feeling shunned? I mean, I think part of the problem, even in the church community, like we end up shunning people and then they end up finding community in places that maybe aren't as, full of faith, or aren't as loving, or are more loving than us because we've shunned people. So I don't know. I definitely think we should rescue. Pia says, rescue them babies. Marcus Simon says, we are all one under God's eyes. Lillian says, let's be honest, no one shuns them. They just aren't as embraced and influential as they would like to be. That's a perspective. I don't know. I feel like I've definitely seen people kind of being like, they're a little strange. Like when I see them posted in things, I see people saying that often. Tanisha says, do they embrace the Black community? I think of them a little different. The Smiths has always been being the news for being different regarding marriage and raising children, but let's rescue. I think we should rescue. Jay Lumpkin, your comment is amazing. I can't do it, but it's amazing. Melissa says, continue to show them love, but speaking truth to them for sure. Lunch with Lena says, I get called weird all the time now. I love it. I might be weird, but other people are delusional. Amen. Don says the new wedding color is orange because we're going to jail. Yeah, you're not lying. Okay, so I don't know. Noel says, yes, they've been shunned. I'd say rescue them. No race should be placed in a box. I agree. I mean, they did start really showing up in the culture and in the world in a way that really was different than I think we've ever seen, Black influencers show up before, whether it was in dress, in hair, or whatever. And I think that was culture shock, right? So when we experienced that culture shock, our response maybe wasn't to continue to, in our estimation, support what we didn't understand. But I think there's a difference between like supporting what we don't understand and absolutely like shunning them. And so I don't know. I felt like this was worthy of a rescue. We're going to send the jet. Tanjika. I think Tanjanika. I think I said your name right. Tanjanika says send the jet. Michael McFadden says, I just want to let them be great and I'm going to continue to drink my water and mind my business. Amen. Mariah says, let's rescue. The amount of times I felt like I've had to prove my blackness by listening to a certain type of music or watching certain movies is so often. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at. Like the idea of like there's only one way to be black. I mean, I probably fit a little closer into what that is supposed to be. But my family's country, you know, and we're black and we do a lot of probably not normal. I don't want to use the word normal because I feel like that's kind of isolating, but maybe more typical to the black community. We definitely probably fall more in that line. But I will say we have children who we're raising who have all different types of interests and things that they like to do and, you know, ways that they like to express themselves artistically. I don't necessarily know that it's like Willow and Jaden, but it may not be considered necessarily typical blackness. And so I think for every person who's ever felt like I'm not black enough or I'm not white enough or I have to do things differently, that there's a space here for us to really challenge ourselves on what it means to fit within our community. So let's see. Colette says, anyone who went to an HBCU knows there are many types of black people. The black community is relative. I really wish that can an HBCU adopt me for 4 years, but also not make me do homework? Ashley Tate says, this is the perfect time to rap, sing, asking all them questions, making statements, assuming you still spit bars. I do. Although my singing career is taking off. And I would like to make sure that we also honor that. So, okay, so we're going to rescue them. Micah says they should embrace their weird. No one is accepted by everyone. And that's a word too. You know, if you start feeling shunned by different communities, then you have to dissect what you needed from that community, what type of acceptance or validation you were expecting to receive from that community, and then make a decision whether or not that was a healthy desire in the first place. Sometimes you don't realize that you have an unhealthy desire until that desire is unfulfilled, and then you realize that you placed too much weight on what that moment was supposed to represent for you. So maybe there's something to be said about that, but we can tell them that when we rescue them. Victoria Kelly says Bethune-Cookman University will give you an honorary degree, and I will accept it. Like, I worked 4 years for it. I have an acceptance speech for it. I'm going to start working on it tonight for my honorary degree. I need to tour the campus so I can make sure I know where everything is, because I'm going to talk about long nights in the library. It's going to be this speech I never got to give. I can't wait. I feel something on that. Whoever is listening, just know that I have a speech. I want to thank my professors for being so patient with me. It feels good. I want to thank my family for allowing me the time and opportunity to really focus so that I could stand in this moment. You know, can someone hand me a hairbrush? If it wasn't for the cafeteria, man, I'm just thinking about some of the best meals I've had these last 12 hours I've been on campus happen in the cafeteria. It's where I really spent a lot of my food card. Oh my gosh. Can we start practicing our acceptance speeches for things we're going to get eventually? Please. Please, guys. Okay. Y'all let me know when it's time for me to get my honorary degree, and I'm going to ask if they will live stream my acceptance speech. Noah says, not you making the speech right now. I'm practicing. I'm practicing for my speech. I know for sure that I need to cover the library. I need to cover, Halima said Howard University. I will take it from anywhere. I will take this degree. I need to cover the library. I need to cover my food card. And what else do I need to make sure I cover? Mariah says not the cafeteria, it's the calf. Like, it's the calf. Okay. Anyways, the calf. If it wasn't for the calf, I need to know at least one person who works in it. I'll worry about the details later. I'll worry about the details later. But I need at least one person. If whoever decides to give me this degree, I don't mean to ask for more than the degree, but if I could have the names of a librarian, the names of at least one person who works in the calf, and also the furthest parking lot, because I'm probably going to have to talk about walking long distances in my speech, because I never got to have one. So that's that. Okay. Let's see. Oh, sporting events and sororities. Can I get my degree and and also cross over on the same weekend? Can it be a pink and green crossover? Oh, you're right. Aisha said the financial aid office for coming through before the classes drop. Thank you so much for working hard. Okay, don't worry, room and board. Oh, I got to talk about my RAs. I got to talk about my RA. Just because you have a degree, Shanice is over here hating. Just because you have a degree, you as an RA, Shanice, I want to thank Shanice, my RA, for being with me every week and making sure that things were tight in my dorm room. People with degrees act like those of us with honorary degrees don't have real, imaginary honorary degrees don't have real speeches. And I'm tired of it. Okay. So whoever, once again, just to cover it, if I could have the name of a librarian, the name of a cafeteria worker, and also Shanice will be my RA no matter where I get my honorary degree from. And also, if we could work on me crossing over the same weekend. Jenny says she looks like she used to be an RA. What is that? We want to ask more about that. I would like to cross over. I would like to cross over to Peking Green. And I would like someone to teach me all of my little... I want to do a whole probate. I want the whole... Okay? I want the whole mask... My mom? Yeah, for sure. No, I'm acting like her. No, it's all right. I want a whole situation when I cross over. Hey, you know what I'm saying? All right. And then I want to take the mask off and for everybody to be surprised. Okay. So I don't know who's working on that. I don't know who was taking notes. Katrina says, do you offer mentoring services? Right now, I don't know that you would want right now the podcast me. I don't know. But when I turn this podcast off, I'm going to see what can happen. I want the whole thing. All right, listen. So moving on. This is my last story. And I think it's amazing. And I hope you love it so much. Well, the last rescue. Okay. This one is Kiki Palmer. Kiki Palmer says forgiving her parents helped her forgive herself. Kiki Palmer wants people to consider forgiving their parents. On Friday, the 27-year-old actress sent out the poignant message to her social media followers. On Instagram, she provided more context, sharing that making amends with her own parents helped her realize she had a lot of things to work on in other areas of her life. She said, when I turned around and realized how unforgiving I was to them, I realized I was unforgiving to friends and most importantly, myself. I was actually holding myself back with resentment I didn't know I was holding. Our first relationship and most intimate is with our parents. If we cannot forgive them and learn to see them as imperfect yet still worthy of love humans, how do we expect to be able to see this in ourselves when we make a mistake? Palmer also noted that it's okay to forgive someone and still keep your distance if they are too toxic at the moment. Fans had mixed reactions to this. Some people were saying, I agree. Others says no truer words. But there were some people who took issue with what she says. And she's one of those comments says, everybody always want to tell the kids to forgive and fix. But I don't ever see anyone talking to parents about learning how to apologize or even tell the truth. Kiki, on this one, you need to leave it to the therapist. You can't tell people when or how to heal from trauma. And toxic parents ought to be held accountable. I thought that what she said was really powerful. I I don't think, like, I think in the normal dynamic, it would feel like the person who has authority or who has experience or age should be the person who's able to fix it. But I think the reality is, and what life continues to teach us, is that just because a person is in position doesn't mean that they have the wisdom, power, and experience to execute it in a way that doesn't leave people damaged. Having said that, I think the onus on forgiveness isn't necessarily on the person who's older or younger, but rather on the person who has grown in wisdom the most. And I think that when you get to a place where you have grown in wisdom the most, then you do have more responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required, to really look at people differently. I think that when we are hurt, and when we are legitimately disappointed, legitimately upset, legitimately frustrated with what has happened in our lives, we see people through the lens of what they did. We see people through the lens of how their trauma affected us, how their poison entered our own veins. And that is the only way we see people. And I think that when we see people that way, forgiveness is challenging. I think moving on is challenging. I think even healing is challenging because we can't see beyond what happened to us. What happens when you start embarking on a journey of healing is that you start to see things through the eyes of being healed. It's like when someone breaks your heart, it's almost like they take your heart from you. Your heart is whole. They take it from you. They shatter it and they hand it back to you, right? But imagine if those were glasses. And now, instead of having these glasses where you see things perfectly, someone hands you these shattered glasses. And now when you're walking through life, you only see things through these shattered glasses. It's how you look at influencers. It's how you look at people in faith. It's how you look at whoever enters your life is through these shattered glasses. And then one day we get to this moment and we say, I don't want to continue to see life through shattered glasses. So we take off our glasses and we say, I may have to be blind for a little bit. I may have to see nothing at all while I go through the process of getting these glasses healed. But when I put them back on my face, I'm going to see things differently. And I think that that's what happens to us when we go through a journey of healing. And when we do that, we end up seeing things differently. But it does take a lot of work. And it also helps us to see, once we have our glasses fixed and we're able to see life differently and better, it helps us to realize, like, oh, wait, that person has shattered glasses. That person who is projecting onto me, that person who was telling me about my heart and my soul, like, I can't give them access because they're still looking at life through shattered glasses. But those are things that you only get when you have a moment to really come to healing within yourself. And then it does make you have grace and compassion for other people. So Princess says, get you some new glasses. Jaleesa says, we're talking about forgiving toxic parents. Well, that's both of mine, but forgiveness is necessary for me. If I don't forgive, I'd be living in hurt and not whole, for sure. And to be clear, okay, this doesn't mean that what they did didn't hurt you. And it doesn't mean that you just have to swallow it and take it. It just means that you have to know that I am seeing things through shattered glasses. I am seeing things through my pain. I'm seeing things through my unprocessed hurt, my unprocessed experiences. So I may not be able to trust everything I see, perceive, or receive right now because I'm still seeing things through shattered glasses. The reason why we embark on the journey of healing, even though it can be painful, hurtful, and traumatic, is because at the end of the day, I want to see things clearly and not through the lenses of what happened to me. Reva says, there's no ideal methodology towards forgiveness. Spiritual maturity is key. Taylor says, some are offended by what she says because forgiveness is not easy. I know that I will not walk into the purpose God had placed on my life until I forgive my parents. And like, to her point, your parents are your most intimate relationship. So when there's a disappointment that occurs within your parental relationship, you're talking about shattered glasses. Like, you could have a heartbreak, but have good parents, and the heartbreak doesn't have to take you under, because at the end of the day, you did experience safety and love in the context of family. But if you don't have that and you experience heartbreak in relationships, then it does perpetuate in your life. And so it is on us to come to this place where we realize that, like, humans humans are defining love, but God is love. And if I allow my human interactions to be the only thing that defines what love is for me, then I may miss out on an opportunity to truly know who God is. And there's an advice question that I want to dig into a little bit when we talk about like God and what happens to us and how it affects our faith. But I do think that there's something to be said about when you heal, you see things differently. Tasha Bradley says, forgiveness is for you, not the individual who hurt you. You can't properly heal until you forgive. Don't carry that baggage around. Let it go. You know why forgiveness is for you and not for other people? Forgiveness is for you because you could forgive somebody who is toxic and they won't even know what that means. They won't even know what that means. You'd be like, I forgive you. And they'd be like, I don't need forgiveness. I need to... You can forgive people and not even have a whole conversation about it, because toxic people don't always understand that they need forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? So forgiveness really does have to be for you. And just because someone says, will you forgive me? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're asking for forgiveness for what they actually did. Like what they did and how it affected you are two different things. So you can be forgiving them on one level and they're asking for forgiveness on a different level, but it doesn't matter as long as you come to a place where you are able to see your life and see people properly. And I think part of seeing people properly is realizing that we're all broken in some capacity. We're all showing up into this world with different levels of growth, with different levels of challenges. And sometimes those shattered pieces cut the people who we are in relationship with. So we have to keep our distance, or we have to learn to live in such a way that your brokenness doesn't hurt me. All right. I'm done. Oh, no, I'm done. I have to be. Oh, there is one more. I have one more rescue, Eve. Oh, man. Okay, I have one more rescue. I was going to move on, but I need to rescue this child. Okay, so violence is not the answer. And I think most people would agree with me, except when someone blows out your candles. There's a young girl who won't agree with this because someone blew out her candles. Let me explain it to you. There's a birthday party happening. At the birthday party, a little girl's about to blow her candles out. She about to blow her candles out when the little girl beside her blows the candles out in the middle of her blowing the candles out. In the middle of her blowing the candles out, this little girl who's supposed to be her friend. Let me tell you something about people blowing your candles out. Hold on, I have a word in this, okay? She grabbed sis by her hair. She said, it is my birthday. These were my candles to blow out. And you have some Holy Ghost nerve to put your little nasty blowing breath on this cake. And my sis snatched her right on. Their sisters snatched her. Oh, that makes it even better. Let me tell you why the sister relationship be strained. Because some sisters blow out candles on your birthday. Let me tell you something. I watched this video a smooth 6 times. I watched everyone's facial expressions. When I tell you she snatched her right on up, she snatched her. I couldn't believe it. And who are we going to rescue here? Are we going to rescue sis for blowing out the candles? Or are we going to rescue big sis for snatching that hair up, for testing them follicles? But let me tell you something. There was a word in this for me. I didn't know it was her sister. I thought it was her friend. Either way, this is what I want to say. If you're listening to this podcast, make sure that you aren't blowing out someone's candles on their celebration. Okay? If your girl just got engaged, let her live in her engagement news before you tell her that he's not nothing, or that you move into another city. I don't know. Apply it where it fits. But don't blow out folks' candle in the middle of them blowing their candles out. That's rude. It's rude to blow out folks' candles. And sis said, you're going to learn to keep your breath to yourself. This is a word. Keep your breath to yourself. This is how stuff gets started. I'm telling you right now, when it comes to women, if you a fella listening, we welcome you. If you're wondering why women be fighting, women fight because people don't know how to keep their breath to themselves. Keep your breath, your whole thoughts and opinions and words that come out of your mouth. All of that is breath. And people's timing with releasing their breath be wrong. Nothing wrong with her blowing. She could blow all day long. The problem was when she chose to blow happened to be the moment that I was blowing these candles out. Okay? This is what I'm saying. When you blow your candles out, make sure that you don't blow them around me. What? It felt like a read. I don't know. Honestly though, ain't this why we don't get along sometimes when they say women don't get along? It has everything to do with you not keeping hold your breath. Can we name this podcast Hold Your Breath? No? China says, you know what? I'm not playing. I preached a word. Jessica Story said she wasn't minding her business. We need to bring sis into the fold. We need to rescue both of them, but we're going to need separate boats for this. Tamara said she did it on purpose and was gloating about it afterwards. I was with that snatch. I know I'm not right, but I was feeling her. Let baby go. She did it on purpose because she was gloating afterwards, and that is why she got snatched. If you're watching this, you're listening to this podcast, and you're wondering why everyone keeps telling you that you don't know how to talk to people or that you do things at the wrong time. I'm telling you right now, you might not be holding your breath properly when someone's blowing their candles out. Okay? When someone is celebrating something happening in their life, you might be the person that come and all up on their celebration. Okay? Crystal says, we had little cousins like this. She is not being rescued, just the baby girl. Okay, well, let's just rescue the baby girl who threw hands. I'm with it. Sean Cossie says, big sis is a hater. I felt the snatch. You need to watch this video because you have not seen somebody get snatched the way she got snatched. Okay, she got snatched on up. Max says, there is already a sibling rivalry. Why don't we speak to unhealthy sibling relationships? This is what I'm saying. You want to talk about unhealthy sibling relationships? Okay. I have pretty good relationships with my siblings. We've had ups and downs as most siblings have had. I think what makes it unhealthy, I think there's a few things that make sibling relationships unhealthy. I think unwillingness to let the sibling grow, keeping them confined to who they used to be. See, when you're a sibling, you see everybody, you see their Eve stage, you see their Mary stage, you see them go back to their Eve stage, you see them shoot up and go to like a Ruth stage, right? Not quite Mary, not quite Eve, but I'm shooting somewhere towards Ruth. You see them go through all of these different stages. And I think one of the most challenging dynamics is in a sibling relationship is giving your sibling room to go through all of these different stages without allowing one stage to define them forever. Okay. I also think discrediting the wisdom of a sibling is a problem as well. Like, yes, we're siblings. No, most of the time I don't know what I'm talking about, but there are moments where I have something that could be helpful and beneficial to you. And when I feel like you don't value my wisdom, then I shut down. Okay. That's one thing. But also when I feel like you give your wisdom when I'm trying to blow my candles out, I take issue with that. So it's like learning to be in relationship with one another. What's your triggers? What's not your triggers? What can I do that's too far? When can I speak? If I have a criticism for you, what is the best way to communicate that criticism in a way that still makes you feel honored and valued? It takes work. You don't get to just say whatever you want to because we're family. Like, you're going to have to work to be in relationship with me, work to be in communication with me, or work to live without me. That's kind of how that ends up going. You know what I mean? You can't say whatever you want to say to me. You can't. I don't care if we're family. That's family. That's all family. You cannot say whatever you want to say to me. You're going to have to find a way to say it. You are. And in return, I will find a way to say what I need to say to you. And I will find a way to make sure that I'm engaging with you in a way that is respectful of your boundaries and your needs. But we don't get to just be family and do whatever we want to each other because we family and we're supposed to get over it. Because you'll mess around and I won't have any air in my tires to get over it with. My tires are flat. Not moving from here. The end. Moving on. How about that? Okay. Victoria said, that's a word. Okay. Alexandra says, find a way to hold your breath or end up snatched. Max Muir says, yes, does not matter if we are family. There is a minimum level of respect and love necessary. You know what else? Because some of y'all, not everybody, but some of you all talk better to strangers and friends than you do to your family because you think we're family and we will always be here. And family will mess around and surprise you and start being like a friend where I have an option to be here. The same care that you put into crafting them emails to your boss, the same care that you put into preaching those messages and putting those prayers together, you're going to have to put into this family relationship. You don't get to say whatever you want to. So that's that on that. Okay. That's how I feel about it. Willette says she learned from that mistake. Bet she did. Okay. Tamika says, please put some respect on it. Indeed, indeed. And I think the best gift that we can give ourselves in navigating any relationship, not just sibling relationships, is coming to a place where we recognize what we need in order to be in a healthy relationship. It's too easy to talk about what the other person needs to do and how the other person needs to change. But to say to ourselves, who do I need to be in order for this relationship to work? If this person never changes at all, if they stay the same, if they stay rude, if they stay bitter, if they stay not knowing how to talk to people, if they stay cool 80% of the time, but 20% of the time they're unpredictable, who do I need to become? What walls am I going to have to put up? What filter am I going to have to hear things through? When can I engage? When can I not engage? How frequently can we be in touch? Can we follow each other on social media? Like, what do I need to do in order to make this work as it is? While also giving space for if you shift, I can shift as well. But right now, as it is, I think that we are better suited just seeing each other at Mama and them's house and not acting like we the best friends club. How about that? Megan says, yes, I always talk better to strangers, but I don't have a family, just a sister who I can't be around. So it's so unhealthy for me. Yes. Okay. All right. So listen, we're talking. Things are coming up, family things, relational things. And you know what? I ain't your therapist. I'm just talking what I'm talking, telling you what I've learned, sharing with you what I have learned from my own experiences and through gleaning the experiences of others. However, if through the course of this conversation, you said to yourself, you know what? I need to talk to somebody because my family dynamic is super unhealthy. My glasses are broke. Okay, shattered, never can see through them this way, but I don't know how to put them back on together. I want to offer you a resource that I think is going to be helpful for you, and that is BetterHelp. BetterHelp is online counseling, and they are there for you. You can connect with your professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient. Real talk, B, like real talk. When I was talking about them cracked glasses, somebody felt something in their spirit. And they said to themselves, maybe that's why I can't see love properly. Maybe that's why I can't see myself properly. Maybe that's why I can't show up in the world. I want you guys to go to therapy. Therapy is so helpful to have another perspective, someone who was not connected to your family, not connected to your friendship circle, who can offer you an objective, professional opinion on ways that you can overcome. They have licensed professional counselors who specialize in depression, anxiety, sleeping, anger, self-esteem, stress, relationships, trauma, family conflicts, and grief. Anything you share is confidential. Financial aid is available to those who qualify. Best of all, it's truly affordable. Woman Evolve with Sarah Jakes Roberts listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code EVOLVE. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/evolve. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. Okay? How about that? So let's move on to Hail Mary. Hail Mary is when we just take a minute and acknowledge folks who are out here doing their thing. They're growing. They're evolving. Okay? And it's making things a lot easier on us all because we see someone else doing what they do. Let me tell you something. Tashara Parker, we give you your flowers. Tashara is an anchor for WFAA. First of all, that's ABC Dallas, D-Town in the building. You already know what it is. That's my hometown. Okay. Tashara just recently went viral because she has her natural hairstyle in these buns that, you know, probably traditionally would not be accepted on television. But she decided that you're going to get all of this protective, natural, perfectly parted Afro-centric hair. And let me tell you something. Bless my whole life. First of all, she's beautiful. Secondly, Tashara, we give you your flowers, okay? We give you your flowers on today, and I just want you to know that WFAA is out here doing a thing. There's another girl who is an anchor for WFAA. I can't think of her name right now, but somebody sent her a message talking about I think her dress, they were talking about her clothes or her body or something. First of all, sis is, okay, built for the Lord, okay? And somebody tried to say that she was doing something, either her dress wasn't fitting or her body was something. And let me tell you something, this is stacked. And WFAA is obviously, I don't know what they're looking for when they put out their job resumes. I don't know if they are just asking for Nubian queens of all ages and races to come together to just change what we see on television. But whatever they're doing, I subscribe. And I just want you all to know that Tashara Parker, we give you your flowers. She's gorgeous and she's out here doing it, and we need representation. We've seen all different types of women who didn't look like us for many, many years. If you're listening to this, you one of my white sisters, you one of my brown sisters, we need to see some more of y'all. We need to see some more of my yellow sisters. We've usually only seen one version of beauty, and I just want you all to know that as we see this sister pulling on up, that I need the rest of us to pull on up, and I need us to be able to come as we are, not trying to fit into anything else. And that's exactly what she did. Okay. How about that? Renee says, listen, it's a whole pandemic. Ain't nobody got time to sew in no bundles. You're not lying. I slapped this wig on the other day. I took my wig off. First of all, Ella should have been in bed, but she wasn't in bed. First of all, I will take my wig off anywhere. But Ella came in the bathroom after she was supposed to be in the bed. When I put her to bed, I had my wig on. When she came in my bathroom, I didn't have my wig on. Sis goes, Mom, you're bald. Where's your hair? Ella, don't act like you ain't seen me without this wig on before. First of all, go to bed and stop coming in here. Well, stop messing with me. Why do kids mess with you? You have seen me without this wig several times. And just because I have braided my cornrows down to perfection don't mean I'm bald headed. Look at this hang time on these cornrows. This is not hang time of one who is bald headed, though there is nothing wrong with the head of bald. But look at this hang time. Go to bed. Ella was shocked that her mother was bald headed. all of this. Girl, if you don't get in the bed, I was just on the bounce house last week and my wig fell off and you saw me acting this the same braids from last week. Don't do that. Mom, you're a bald head. Girl, if you don't get in the bed. Okay. That's what you need to do. Anyways, so the point is, ain't nobody got time for sew-ins and bundles. And kids play you. Honestly, I'm gonna whoop kids. No, JK, I would never admit to a crime on the podcast. I'm gonna pull out my box. There you go. My box is broken today. I don't know. I should have had my box for the snatching. Oh, man. J. Nicole says, whew, when you scratch your forehead, I thought you were about to snatch your wig off. I was just going to say, sis, wait. Now, let me tell you, if this was a private link and not on YouTube, I would take this wig off because I could trust y'all. But it's not a private link. I don't know who all is watching this, but I am not beyond snatching my wig off. My family would be so disappointed in me. But I am not beyond snatching my wig off, and they all know it. Okay. So yes, Tashara, we give you your flowers. You're beautiful, whether this hair is silk pressed and laid in these buns in a natural hairstyle or braided. We give you your flowers, sis. We celebrate you, and we thank you, Dallas, for holding down for the real ones. Speaking of black women out here doing things, okay, Mayor Asia Brown, Aja, 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 you said Aja? Oh, Mayor Brown of Compton, bad, okay, bad. But they've got this pilot program where they're going to give 800 Compton residents guaranteed income. This project, I've actually read up on this a little bit because I think it started in Northern California. But Mayor Brown has started this Compton pledge, and it's going to give 800 Compton residents free cash for a 2-year period. Brown says she thinks the program will have the greatest number of participants in a single U.S. city. She says, I recognize that there's a need for additional income, especially with the pandemic resulting in record high numbers of employment throughout the entire country. This is a great opportunity to address inequalities for black and brown people and also additional opportunities for upward mobility. I think the idea here, when I read about it happening in Northern California, was ultimately people felt like if there was some type of guaranteed income, that people would be less inclined to work, where studies are beginning to show that when they don't have the stress of having to make ends meet, that they're actually more inclined to be present at work, to do better jobs at work, to be promoted in schools and etc., because they don't have that stress, ultimately creating healthier environments for children to study, for their education to become better, and for parents to dream beyond just making this month's check meet and really to determine what they want to do with their life. So far, private donors have contributed $2.5 million to the Fund for Guaranteed Income. It's a charity headed by Nika Sunshon, daughter of the Los Angeles Times owner. Each selected family will receive at least a few $100s on a recurring basis, as well as tools that will help them access financial guidance. So I don't know. I thought this was dope. The families will be randomly selected from a pre-verified group of low-income residents. I think that this is really important because there is a huge wealth gap that we continue to see widening in our country. And if someone is not intentional about making sure that we are equipping lower-income families that have so much potential but don't necessarily have the resources with tools that will allow them to come up, then we'll continue to see people who are qualified, brilliant, creative, and can be incredible members of our society not get the help and support that they need, ultimately making our country less rich, and not just finances, but ultimately human resources than they should be. So I don't know. Thought that was dope. Wanted to share that. Okay. Anita says, this is amazing. N says, it's a good idea and worth a try. Classy 1IM says, can't breathe is the 2020 terminology. So yeah, thought that was great. Let's see. The next story. Oh, I'm sorry. I got stuck in the comments. Okay. Let's see. And my last story, Taraji Henson called off her engagement. But her story, like the story behind it, I thought was something worthy of me sharing with everyone because, man, first of all, she's trying to get it right, okay? So she just turned 50 and she says, I hadn't said it yet, but it didn't work out, referencing her engagement. She said, I tried. I was like, therapy, let's do the therapy thing. But if you're both not on the same page with that, then you feel like you're taking it on yourself. And that's not a fair position for anybody to play in a relationship. But what she said that really stood out to me that I think is important for everyone, whether you are in a relationship or not in a relationship. She says, my happiness is not his responsibility and his is not mine. We have to learn how to make ourselves happy to make each other happy. So when one person is taking on the weight of the entire relationship, it's never going to work. You have to show up. Yes, you want to be understanding, but you can't lose yourself in that understanding. You have to still stand up for yourself and be there for yourself. But it's hard to do if the other person isn't doing that either. Let me tell you why that part, my happiness is not his responsibility and his is not mine. That is a valuable lesson to learn, whether you're in a relationship or outside outside of a relationship. One, I think it speaks to understanding what happiness looks like for you as a single person. Sometimes we're single and we say to ourselves, I would be happy if I was in a relationship. But the truth is, if the relationship makes you happy, then eventually when the relationship goes through ups and downs, you're going to go through ups and downs because it was the only thing that was making you happy. It's also important in a relationship. When my husband and I first got married, and he would like wake up and maybe he was having a down day, maybe he was thinking about something at work, maybe he was thinking about a potential business deal, my first thing was kind of like, what's up? What's wrong with you? Did I do something? Is there something wrong with us? I feel this distance between us. And it took me some time to settle into the fact that like he is his own person who has his own moods and emotions and changes and shifts. And if I am making his happiness my responsibility exclusively, then when he goes through these changes and shifts that are normal when you are a leader and a business owner and a father and a person, then I'm constantly going to be trying to figure out how he moved and how he shifted and what I can do to get him back. I think one of the things I'm probably most proud of in this last year or two of our marriage is that like I feel like I am not questioning whether or not, I want to say this the right way. Like, I don't question whether or not our love still exists, even when life gets heavy. And I think that when you've been in toxic relationships and you're finally in a healthy relationship, when someone ends up having an off day, a bad day, a busy day, that you can think to yourself, oh, they're pulling back. Oh, they're breaking away. But resting in love and resting in what we have means that like, oh, he's just having a day, or, oh, I'm just having a day. Like, not just I wake up, I'm busy. I wake up, I want to eat carbs, but can't eat carbs. And so I have to mentally kind of lock down on myself, or I'm having something happening on a business level. And us being able to show up in life authentically means that we are going to have days where we don't necessarily look like we're at Disneyland, but we know how to find our way back to happiness. And his happiness isn't built on who I am, and my happiness isn't built on who he is. And when we are both happy, we experience incredible excitement, but it's because we've done the work ourselves. So I felt like it was really dope that she said this. She just turned 50, which I think is a lesson that we're still always learning who we are and what we need at every age of life. So if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I feel like I should have it together by now. Like, everyone is still learning, everyone is still growing, and sharing what you're learning in the process is so important. Okay. So, you know, I know I'm married now, but sometimes I be wanting to do like courses on like enjoying single life. You know what I mean? Because like, when I was single, like I found a way to really enjoy my single life. And sometimes, you know, Shanice is here. Shanice has been single. And when Shanice was single, you know, I would just tell her, you know what you need to do? You need to go find you this. You need to go find you a fancy song. You need to go find you a fancy recipe. And you need to go in the kitchen and you need to cook you up a little something and dance around. You know, I think I mentioned that I did I mention that, was it on here, that last week where I did the interview with Karen Civil, and she's got this jar of things that she pulls out from Woman Evolve TV. I did an interview with Karen Civil that's going to air next month, and she like pulls out this jar of different things to do. It's like taking a picnic, painting something. Like, you have to learn how to enjoy being single and not see it as a punishment. And I just feel like that's powerful. You know, part of what I did with Shanice, like I said, that she would be turning on her music, she'd be cooking up stuff, and she used to say she can't cook, but she can't really say that now because she burns down in the kitchen. And part of the reason why she does that is because she took she's my bootleg beta test debutante HelloFresh cooking. Speaking of HelloFresh, oh gosh, wow, I just remembered HelloFresh is an awesome way. If you're watching this and you're like, I would love to cook something fancy that's outside of what I usually cook, but I need it to be, you know, within the price range of my budget right now, but I also want it to be fancy. HelloFresh is the best way for you to save time, money, and stress effortlessly, and be walking around here like Food Network is blowing your phone up and you can't get them to stop calling you because you're chefing, okay? HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store and makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. HelloFresh offers convenient delivery right to your doorstep for easy home cooking with the family. You can keep your fridge stocked by adding extra proteins or sides like garlic bread to your weekly order. You can easily change your delivery days or food preferences and skip a week whenever you need, which I love because like for Thanksgiving or the kids are having a birthday or whatever, I know we're going to be traveling or not at home as much. I like to skip my week and then resume next week. Feeding the whole family has never been easier with larger box sizes for more servings and more savings. Okay. HelloFresh is committed to giving back in this, which means that when you order, you're also helping to give back. They're making fresh, delicious food available now more than ever, and they've taken extra steps to keep its employees and customers safe, including contactless delivery, tamper-proof packaging, and team member wellness checks. So y'all already know I love HelloFresh. They've got this maple crusted chicken, these Korean street tacos, beef street tacos, which I talk about all the time. And Shanice is vegetarian. She loves their vegetarian food. So give it a try. You can get $80 off 5 boxes. Okay, go to HelloFresh.com/80evolve and use code 80evolve to get a total of $80 off across 5 boxes, including free shipping on your first box. Okay, that's HelloFresh.com/80evolve and start cooking today. Okay. XOXOCC says, how you gonna pull Shanice in the transition? Because it just, woo. And how about this? It just popped up. Denise says, love to cook, but sometimes don't want to and often think about this. Let me tell you something. The reason why I be overcooking is like, how many times can I make the same thing over and over again? But then eventually I started getting HelloFresh and things started getting spicy. Okay. Jasmine Moore says that honorary degree is about to be for marketing because it transitions summa cum laude. Oh, when I get my summa, see, I didn't know I was going to get summa cum laude. Y'all done messed around and gave me summa cum laude. Summa cum laude. Summa come get me. Oh, okay. All right. Cherie says SJR probate at Denver too. Don't let me have my probate without the delegation there. I want to come in stomping. I want to come in like Q dogs, but not, you know what I mean? I want to come in stomping, raggedy and stuff, right? But then I want to have my pearls on underneath it. Hold on. So let's move. Oh, advice. What's next? I have one advice question, and then I'm getting off of this podcast because today is a day. Okay. Here it is. Let me see. Right. Here it is. Boom. Thank you. Here it is. Are you ready? Hi, Sarah. I love the Woman Evolve podcast and am definitely working on my Woman Dissolve as well. But today I'm needing some spiritual advice. I just turned 20 and wow, it's been a roller coaster already. I currently am attending college full time along with working 2 jobs. This past summer, I worked so hard and saved as much as I could so I could buy myself a new car. The night I got the new car, I was in a car accident and my car was completely totaled. Thankfully, I'm okay and insurance is covering the damages, but I put half of my savings into the car that is now gone. I now have to find a new car without the money saved. This has led me to work more hours and I've been completely overwhelmed with stress. I want to make more time for God though. I know that for some reason God is making me go through this stressful season and I want to be able to trust him more through it, but I don't know how. I pray and thank God for even being able to work before I go to bed, but wonder, can I do more? I want to get more into the word, but I'm just so exhausted every night. I'm afraid I won't be able to put my full self and attention into it. I guess I'm just wondering, how can I fully put my trust into God and give him my full attention? Great question. There's something that you said here that I really wanted to dissect. You said, I know that for some reason God is making me go through this stressful season and I want to be able to trust him through it. So when we go through stressful seasons, I think it's really tempting to be like, God is making me go through this. Like, God put me here, God put me there. And I do think that there is a difference between God will never put more on me than I can bear versus like, God put me here. I don't believe at all that it is God's plan for you to have had this, car wreck the moment that you got your car and have had to work so hard in order to get to where you are. I don't believe that that was a part of God's original plan. I do believe that God says I can use these detours and still get her to my destination, the destination that I have in mind for her. But I think that a lot of times we end up facing things that we attribute to God putting on us when it's not necessarily that God put it on us as much as it is that God can use it. And I think we have to know the difference between God can use this versus God put me through this, because I think that when we are in a position where we feel like, how could a good God allow something bad to happen to me, that it puts a strain rather on our ability to connect with God, because how could anyone trust someone who feels like you let bad things happen to me? And so I think it's important for us to have the proper perspective on God, right? So I think part of the proper perspective on God is like, he's making all things work together for my good, because good was his ultimate plan. When we look at the character of God in Genesis, everything he created, he says, and it was good, and it was good. Let's look at the things that God created that was good: the ocean, the sky, the sun, the way that this world is set up, the way that the world intermingles with one another. These are the systems and structures that he set in place, and those things are good, right? So when we start talking about humanity having free will and us sometimes ending up in circumstances that aren't necessarily good, it doesn't mean that God's plan wasn't good. It means that our humanity showed up in it, right? And when our humanity shows up in it, it doesn't always necessarily meet that quality of good. But what God said is that it may have to take some detours, but I can still get it back to good. I want to lay that foundation, because you can press into God as much as you want to, but if you feel like there's been a broken trust between you and God, it's going to be difficult for you to overcome that broken trust without coming to a place where you feel like God is good. Life may be challenging, people may be challenging, but at the end of the day, my faith, the foundation of who I am, is built on this framework that God can use anything that comes my way and allow it to work out for my good. Doesn't mean I won't cry, doesn't mean I won't experience loss, doesn't mean that everything is going to be easy, but it does mean that when I come to a place of surrender and I turn it over to God, that he, through his spirit, can help me to navigate how to allow this to work out for my good. Who do I need to be connected with? What decisions do I need to make, etc. So when we talk about pressing into God, I think that you have to do it with that at the forefront of your mind. And when you do that at the forefront of your mind, I think that the most beautiful thing that you can study right now, and maybe you're listening and someone else is listening and they've been disappointed by God, is to look at the character of God. I think a powerful study for you is to not just read the Bible because I'm supposed to read the Bible, but start studying the character of God when people have experienced challenges. Let's talk about Abraham having to get out of his father's house, having to separate from Lot. How did God show up for him in those instances? Let's talk about the prophet Daniel. Let's talk about Joseph. Let's talk about Jesus. Let's talk about the woman with the issue of blood. Let's see how God, David. Let's look how God has Ruth. Let's look at how God's character shows up for people when life has disappointed them. Ruth is a powerful story to look at, how she changed her life over to God, and then her husband dies, and her brother-in-law dies, and her father-in-law dies, and then her mother-in-law was bitter. How did God show up for her? What does it say about the character of God? And then recognize that that same consistent God is still available for you. And so I want to draw close to the consistency of God. It's one thing to say to yourself, I know I should be closer to God. I want to make time for God. But what do you need to make time for God in? In what area of your life do you need to make time for God? What vacancies do you have that you want God to fill? And study with the intent to confront who God is in that specific area. What does it say about the love of God? What does it say about the faithfulness of God? What does it say about not fearing God, not having respect for God, for being out of the will of God? Study those things, and I think you'll have a more rewarding relationship with him. So Sherelle says, you never disappoint me before you get off the podcast. Is this a preview for Friday? Friday, I am so looking forward. There are 2 Woman Evolve things that I am looking forward to. Friday, It's something new. I'm trying something different, but I want to have a Woman Evolve ministry night. It's going to be called Hey You, this Friday, October 23rd. It's at 7 Central Standard Time. If you're in a different time zone, do the math, but meet us on YouTube or Facebook. But I want to serve you in holding up a mirror and allowing you to kind of embrace yourself and your intimacy and relationship with God. And then the Refuse to Lose tour. So I kind of see like Hey You is just like an opportunity for you to kind of really connect with yourself, to really have your faith restored, to have your heart seen, and to really pour out where you are in the presence of God. And then I see Refuse to Lose kind of being like some girl night type, get your squad together and let's really talk about how life is shifting, changing, and evolving, but ultimately how we're going to show up for the fight and we're going to win, and how we have a history of being able to come together as women to see each other through whatever our challenges may be. So I'm really excited about Refuse to Lose. And if Corona wasn't here, we would be on a tour bus. I would be doing this from a different venue, and we would just be on the road helping women refuse to lose everywhere we go. But this time we get to go bigger and better because we are going to do it online. So I want you guys to definitely be a part of Refuse to Lose. And you can go to womanevolve.com to get all of the information for the Refuse to Lose tour. I'm telling you, secure your edges, hold down your wig. It's going to be powerful. And so is Hey You. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Okay, so here's my snack. Okay, my snack for today is this. Monday. So Monday, getting up, getting ready. I had to do some interviews and do some other work things. And I was thinking to myself, so I made this decision, like I wanted to try something out because I'm not really intentional about taking time off. So like most of you, like when I'm not working, I put on my other hat. Like I'm going to end this podcast, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to make taco night. Okay. So then I'm going to braid hair tonight. Like I'm always doing something. And so I have to be intentional. Even on the weekends, we're teaching the boys to drive. We had wash day last weekend with the girls. Like I take Kenzie's hair down. So even when I'm not working, I'm not really making time for myself. And so I decided that on Friday, I'm going to try and take like time for myself on Friday to be lazy, to do absolutely nothing. I moved some meetings around and I made it happen. And on Monday, I was thinking to myself, I am so glad that I got to do that because it still allowed me to show up for my family, to do what I needed to do for the kids, but to also take care of myself and how I really wanted to be protective over my Friday so that I can really show up for my family over the weekend and still be ready on Monday to lead our, organizations and the things that we're doing. And I just got this phrase, like, you have to make your life work. You know what I mean? It sounds very simple, but you have to make your life work for you. If there are things happening in your life and you're like, I can't live like this, I can't keep going like this, I can't keep showing up like this, like it's not necessarily going to change just because you're complaining about it. You have to get to a place where you say to yourself, what is it going to take for me to make my life work? Who am I going to have to become? What support do I need? Even if you can't implement everything immediately, to have in your mind what you're working towards can be very helpful in your marriage, in your friendships. Like, I can't keep living like this. So what do I need to do in order to prepare myself to pivot? And when you begin to prepare yourself for that pivot and you're living in the process of the pivot, make sure that you're celebrating that you're coming out of it, because sometimes we get so frustrated that we haven't turned quickly, that I'm not out of this situation quickly enough. But each day that I get up and I move towards it, I'm one step closer to coming out of it. And because I'm one step closer to coming out of it, I'm rejoicing like I'm already out. Okay. Don't be frustrated because your life hasn't turned as quickly as you would like for it to. Don't be frustrated because you feel like you're stuck and it's not moving as quickly as you want to. Thank God that you are in the process of the pivot. I may not have turned fully yet, but I did something today that is getting me closer to that step. That goes for health, that goes for finances, that goes for relationships, that goes for everything. Have tough conversations. Say no. Protect your mental health. Go to bed earlier. Get up earlier. Whatever it is that you need to do, make sure that you make space for that. Give them baby cereal. Okay. Order something if you can. You don't have to, I'm preaching to myself. You don't have to cook dinner every single night. Allow yourself to let these kids eat pizza one night. They will be fine. Look at you. You ate all that stuff that you ate and you still here and God is still faithful. Do what you need to do in order for you to show up as the best version of yourself. This Friday, when we do Hey You, As much as you can, I want you to make space to really focus on yourself. I'm going to try to keep it under an hour so that I'm not taking up too much of your time. Like, I want it to be short and effective and to the point, but I also want it to be intentional. So be patient with me. I believe we're going to do this more than once. I want to be mindful of your time. So maybe this Friday you can ask someone for some help. You can ask the kids, hey, I'm going to turn on a movie for you. Hey, I'm going to let you have this tablet. I'm going to reset my whole phone and put Candy Crush or Fruit Ninja or something on there, and you can eat all of the fruit snacks you want to and play Fruit Ninja. Just leave me alone for an hour. Okay, tell your husband, tell your friends, whatever. Make space for you to check on you, because that is super important. And once you are centered, get your squad together, get your gang together, and say to them, hey, I'm ready to show up, I'm ready to fight, I refuse to lose. And then maybe we at Woman Evolve can serve you on that journey of becoming better. Okay? How about that? Martha says, amen, I receive it. Okay. Cheryl says, my phone going on Do Not Disturb. Ashley Tate said in Cora's voice, Sarah, because that's exactly how Cora says it. Marissa, hey Marissa. She said, yes. Okay. And Martha said, amen, amen. Okay, guys, listen. I love you. I'm logging off. I'm logging off, and I love you so very much. God, I thank you that you are showing us who we are, that not just the areas where we can grow are being highlighted, but also the areas where we're doing well, the areas where we have grown, the areas where we have shown that wisdom has been applied to our life. And we thank you that you continue to trust us with life. You continue to trust us to show up in this big world, this sometimes scary world, because you believe that you can use us to make it better. Highlight first how we can become better for ourselves, then better for everyone connected to us. Fill us with your grace. Fill us with your spirit. Remove every limitation, every toxic pattern, every sin, anything that's keeping us from you, and allow us to rest in the process of the pivot, that we would wake up one day and see that we are right on target for where you have always destined us to land. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.